Welcome back to Catalan Soccer, guys. I'm Catalan Ben, and today we are taking you through a brand new tutorial on swerve passing and how to hit the ball like Alexander Arnold. Let's get straight into this one. You're going to love it. So first of all, let's look at a few examples of this swerve pass and why we hit this particular pass that's often used for a switch. Now, when we execute this pass from the right-hand side of the pitch, we are using the swerve to bend the ball towards the left-hand side of the pitch. Look how the swerve here helps the ball to stay in play and doesn't go out over the touchline for a throw-in. It helps bend the ball and it converges with the run of the opposite winger or the opposite fullback. So often you'll see Trent play a ball that goes with the outside of his right foot that bends for Robertson to run onto, and that ball with the extra swerve and the extra curve toward the goal line and away from the touchline helps the ball stay in play. That also makes the receiving player's first touch a lot easier. The ball is already travelling in the direction that that player is trying to run. If we don't put swerve on the ball and we hit the ball with a little bit more traditional backspin or no spin in a direct line, then this ball's much more likely to go out for the throw-in or be a more difficult first touch for the receiving player. So now it's time to get the boots on, lace up and hit a few balls. Let's show you how this technique works. So guys, let's take you through the setup here. First of all, I've got a rebound net off to this side. This will help serve the ball back to me. You can do this with a partner, but if you're training on your own, I recommend using a wall or ideally a rebounder like this that I can position anywhere I want, keep it as close or as far away as I need to, and then you can execute it with your first touch. Then we have a mannequin. Now the mannequin out here on this right hand side is not for me to be passing the ball to. This is a guide of where a defender might be, and the ball that I'm trying to play is either going over or around or both. I'm not trying to hit this mannequin, I'm trying to bypass this mannequin with my swerve pass. So look out for how I do that and look out for the technique that we use to beat that mannequin, but also the height that's involved to make sure the ball can't be intercepted. So let's talk through the technique. Now, anybody who's seen my tutorial on how to ping a ball with backspin, if you haven't checked that out, have a look at the video just up here. That will teach you how to hit a ball over a long distance with backspin on the ball. This is a very similar technique. We are going to use some of the same basics and foundations, but we are going to hit the ball in a slightly different position. We are going to change our follow through, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute. And then that should generate more side spin on the ball, but still give us that height that we're looking for too. So watch here on the slow-mo how when we make connection with the ball, not only are we trying to hit below the equator of the ball, and that causes the backlift, but we're also trying to drive the follow-through across the body. This diagonal follow-through is going to help you generate some side spin on the ball. Look how my standing foot is nice and far away from the ball. It gives me a nice wide base. As I strike, I have a diagonal foot with the laces facing forward coming through the back of the ball. That diagonal follow through kicks across the center of the ball. That helps generate the side spin, and hitting on the equator gives me the height and the backspin. When I put both together, I should get something like this. Now, often when people try to generate side spin, they really concentrate on making a connection with the side or the edge of the ball. That is not the technique that you're going to be able to use here. Yes, you can generate side spin doing that, but you will also minimize the power and the distance and the height. We don't want to do that, so we need to make sure that the connection with the ball is right through the center. The thing that generates side spin is striking across the center of the ball, and that generates rotation. That centrifugal force that pulls the ball round will generate the curl over a long distance. But if you just aim for the side of the ball, you will get lots of spin, you will get very little height, very little power, and you won't get the technique that we're looking for. I'll show you a few examples here, a couple of bad ones where we've just caught the edge of the ball, and then a couple of good ones where we've hit through the center but struck across the ball to generate the side spin. Thank you for watching this video, guys. We really appreciate all your support. Every like and every subscribe that you guys click on helps us to grow as a channel, helps us reach more players and more coaches. So please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Let's carry on with the tutorial. Now, if you're struggling for height or distance on the ball, often that can be the follow through not being explosive enough. So what you need to make sure you do, and like I said, we referenced this in our previous video on generating backspin and distance, we are now going to make sure that as we make connection with the ball, we then kick through the ball with a strong follow through. Your body's momentum will help generate power here too, so try not to do this from a standing start. Try and be moving forward at least a couple of steps, even a run up into the ball. That can help with momentum, that can help with distance, and the ball will carry further. So if you're struggling for power, get your body moving and hit through the ball with a stronger follow through. If you're lacking height, it may be that your foot is just a little bit too tall. That diagonal foot position that we spoke about before that helps you drive the ball, if you keep it in that diagonal position, you can sometimes contact the equator and the center of the ball. That takes all the height out of it, and you might still get the side spin. You will definitely still get power, but you might struggle for height. So if you aren't getting height on the ball, try and get your foot at a shallower angle so we're getting underneath the ball. If we get underneath the center, that will help you generate the height. If you're hitting it flat, that's the correction that you need to make. Now, this isn't a technique that you will pick up in 4 or 5 tries. It takes a lot of experience and a lot of practice to get this. But what we're trying to do here is help you shortcut to get there quicker. So by giving you good information, by giving you the mistakes and the errors that are most common, and by helping you through that process, it will speed up your natural self-coaching. So every time you hit a bad one now, you should be able to diagnose the problem. You either hit it with too much side spin, you hit it with not enough power, you hit it underneath the ball but didn't get the side, or you hit it through the center of the ball and didn't get the height. But by diagnosing the problems, you guys then at home or when you're practicing can fix them very, very quickly. So just watching this video won't instantly make you better at it, but what it will do is it will give you a guided practice so that when you're practicing, if things are going wrong, you know how to get them right. So what I'm going to do now is hit a ton of balls, get into the rhythm, get hopefully plenty of side spin and plenty of distance, but also I'm going to be diagnosing and quickly showing you on the screen what went wrong with any that I hit incorrectly. So keep your eye out here, they won't all be perfect, not every single one will go exactly where we want it to go, but we are hoping for some consistency in where the ball goes and then some very quick corrections when things go wrong. See if you guys can diagnose before I do when something goes wrong. If you see me hit a flat one, you should already know that I've hit the ball too high around the equator. If I'm getting tons of side spin but no height or power, then I've hit too much of the edge of the ball. Let's see if you can diagnose it when I get it wrong to help you diagnose it when you get it wrong when you practice. Now the pitch that we're training on today isn't a full size and full width pitch, but I recommend training on this kind of size pitch first whilst you build your technique. Don't go for a 60, 70, 80 yard pass while you're still trying to build the foundations and the core mechanics that will get this technique unlocked. Once you've got those mechanics and you can play a ball over 10, 15, 20, 25 yards with height and with some side spin, then start to practice over bigger distances and then try to add the power. But don't go too powerful too soon. It won't work, it will frustrate you, and you will not build the right technique. Now, in terms of the gap that we're trying to hit here, when I execute this pass, I'm aiming down that left wing. So you can see here that there's a gap between the mannequin on the right hand side and the touchline on the left hand side, and I'm trying to aim into this channel. This channel might be a smaller gap than this, it might be a bigger gap than this, but because we're playing a switch of play, what we should often find is that most players are on this right hand side of the pitch. They're over here, they're dealing with the fact that the ball is on the right, where the ball's coming from, where the pressure's coming from. So a quick switch that's executed in one touch and that's played very, very quickly across the pitch should find that the furthest player for the right hand side should be fairly narrow. So this should give us a nice big gap down this left hand side to hit. If you're playing a slow switch, if it takes a long time to get there, then that will probably mean that by the time the ball gets there, the pressure's got across, the channel gets smaller to play into, you got lost space and time out there. If you can play this quickly, the reason that Trent plays this with his first touch and plays it so fast is to make sure that by the time the ball arrives there, the defender hasn't had time to get across the pitch and close down that left channel. So you can see how big that gap is that we're aiming for, but that's because we're playing a first time switch. Now, one thing that we forgot to mention, watch how when the ball lands, the side spin of the ball helps slow the ball down when it bounces. That helps the ball to stay in play and not run away from that runner that's trying to get onto the end of it, and stops the ball going out for the throw-in. So usually a ball with backspin or a ball with no spin would bounce pretty quickly and would go further towards the touchline. Look how the side spin and backspin on the ball at the same time helps the ball to sit nicely and slow down when it bounces. Keep your eye on that after the kick. Thanks for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.